Imagine you and I were asked by a king to come up with new coins for his kingdom. We are allowed to do whatever we want, multiple denominations of different sizes, different shapes. We can use the striking techniques we want, but there's a catch. We can only use one type of metal for all of these new coins. No fancy alloys, no bimetallic coins, nothing. We can use one metal. Which metal should we use? We could go with gold, the most valuable, prestigious, and universally accepted monetary metal. But gold is incredibly valuable, so making small change would be impossible. We could instead use copper or other base metal coins, but we would have the opposite problem. Copper is easy to find, and it's not a metal with a whole lot of intrinsic value, so big transactions would require tons of coins. We would have the same issue as the ancient Chinese did, who needed to string their bronze coins in these massive, unwieldy strings of cash, as each individual coin wasn't worth much. We need a metal that, on one hand, is common enough that it can be adopted as a monetary metal for big and small coins, but it can't be too common, meaning each coin, even the small ones, would still have a reasonable intrinsic value to them. This metal must also be malleable enough that it can be worked on easily and chemically inert, so it doesn't just rot away and corrode as it circulates and continuously switches hands. This metal is silver, nature's monetary metal par excellence. And today, I brought you a group of the very first silver coins ever made. Let's get to know them. To understand when and why silver coins were invented, we need to first look at the very first coins ever made. Here on your screen we have a coin of King Aliates of Lydia, struck between the years 620 and 585 BC. These coins were made out of electrum, a mix of gold and silver, which was commonly found as little nuggets in the rivers of this region, the region of Lydia. These first coins had a relatively well-controlled gold to silver ratio in them, with gold making out 54% and silver 46%. There was an issue, however. Despite being made with a well-controlled alloy issued by the Central Royal Authority, there was still a level of mistrust with this alloy of the coins. After all, silver and gold had very different values, and since these early coins were worth a lot, they were mostly meant for big, important transactions. It meant that even a 1% difference between the gold and silver ratios could mean a significant change in value on a coin. The solution to this problem came with the next king of Lydia, the son of Aliates, Croeseids. In 550 BC, he instituted a monetary reform to solve the issue. With a technique called cementation, the electrum nuggets that were found were added to a crucible, mixed with salt, and melted down in a furnace. The salt bonded chemically with the silver, separating it from the gold. With gold and silver separated, they could then be purified and made into brand new coins of pure gold and pure silver. These coins are called Croeseids. For each new pure gold Croeseid, you could get 10 silver ones. This new bimetallic system was much more reliable. Now everyone knew they were supposed to be dealing with pure gold and silver coins. This was particularly useful and beneficial for foreign trade that exchanged coins by their precious metal value, not by their denominational value. Apart from that, the range of transactions that could be conducted with these new coins was significantly broadened. A pure gold coin was much more valuable than the previous electrum pieces, and the new silver Croeseids now made lower value transactions possible, meaning low value, local trade could now be conducted using coins rather than barter. It was really with Croeseids that coins finally created a fully monetized society. The designs in these new coins were the same as in the previous electrum pieces. On the obverse, we have to the left a forepart of a lion, and on the right, the forepart of a bull. This was the symbol of the Lydian monarchs, a very elegant and quite striking image of these two powerful animals butting heads, facing each other. On the reverse, there were a series of incus punches, showing the coin was made out of good metal all the way to its core. This was in a way one of the first anti-counterfeiting measures, but plated forgeries with the incus punches have been discovered, showing this technique wasn't really very effective. Now, despite being pure silver, what we are looking at here is still over 10 grams of silver. The Croeseids was a lot of money in the archaic period, probably enough to pay for skilled labor for a week or two. So this coin was more of a store of value, or a tool for larger transactions, rather than anything very useful in everyday trade. To solve the issue of making small change, the Lydians went with the most obvious solution. Let's make fractional pieces, ever so smaller, so people had small change. It was literally small change. So next, here we have half a Croeseid. As you can see, it is basically identical to the full-size piece, but half its weight, roughly 5 grams. Croesus would eventually lose his throne when the Achaemenid Persians invaded and annexed Lydia. With their new Persian overlords, liked this half Croeseid coin so much, it was such a practical unit of value, worth good value but not too valuable as to be hard to spend, that they eventually copied it and made their own coin, the siglos, which was essentially a redesigned half Croeseid, now featuring the Achaemenid king instead. Alright, let's keep going down in weight. Now we have a third of a Croeseid. It may sound weird at first to go through all of the problem of striking halves and thirds of Croeseids, like they're quite similar coins, but as we keep going down the denominations, we will see that they were actually divisible by 2 and by 3. So having halves and thirds of the few unit made sense. And we keep going down. Now we have a sixth of a Croeseid. We still have enough space for the flan to fit the whole design, but that's already a very small coin, around 1.7 grams. Now we're getting really small here. This is a 12th of a Croeseid. The lion's mane and the bull's neck had to be left out of the flan for such a tiny coin. The coin also seems to be a bit wider as it is high. It starts to look like a tiny, misshapen disc instead of the little ball, the little pellet like the previous coins. This gives this piece a few millimeters more in its diameter, making it more practical to handle. Although I'm sure these were lost quite often. But don't worry, it gets even smaller. Here is 1/24th of a stater, around 0.42 grams. Now that's really tiny. Notice that in such small coins, the design on the obverse had to be simplified. Both the lion and the bull look much simpler, kind of cartoonish in these examples. Well, we can't blame the die engravers. They were working with manual tools, and imagine how hard would it be to sculpt such tiny little dice. And finally, the smallest unit of the Croeseid standard, 1/48th of a stater, around 0.25 grams of silver. The bull just decided this was too much for him and it just left, as we only have the lion on the flan. Its paw also have to be left out as well. We can only see its head. This tiny little thing, it's just unpractical. Imagine being in a busy marketplace and trying to count these tiny little things. Eventually, such small coins were replaced by larger, more practical bronze coins. But such tiny little things are an interesting reminder of just how the Greeks mistrusted non-precious metal coinage. And there you have it, the first silver coins ever made. I want to hear from you, collectors. What's the oldest silver coin in your collection? And what's the smallest of your silver pieces? Let us know in the comment section down below. And remember to leave your like and subscribe for more ancient coin content. Happy collecting, and I'll see you soon.